Good evening and welcome. Let's take a look at our big story this hour. Just weeks away from the US elections, the question of who can beat the virus has taken the center stage in American politics. But before we get into the details of the political climate in the US, here's a comprehensive timeline of the virus outbreak and President Trump's response. Take a look.
When it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away. I hope that's true. I said, is this just like flu? Because people die from the flu.
Lord, let the death angel pass over. Let there be a mitigation of this plague, this disease. Let medical science come forth.
When we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question. We will have a safe and effective vaccine this year, and together we will crush the virus.
Thank you, Mr. President. The issue of what happened when you were in France continues to be a story.
You're going to have to take that off, please. You can take it off.
Just based on some of your recent tweets, sir, do you...
You sound so clear.
Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say now?
Such a terrible question, and the phraseology. I didn't lie. What I said is we have to be calm, we can't be panicked.
With deaths from the coronavirus nearing 200,000 in the United States, questions mount over the arrival of a vaccine ahead of the November elections. Trailing behind the blue rival Joe Biden, US President Donald Trump has repeatedly teased the imminent arrival of a coronavirus vaccine and has explicitly tied it to the election calendar. This time, he has promised a vaccine next month. Listen to this.
We're on track to deliver and distribute the vaccine in a very, very safe and effective manner. We think we can start sometime in October. So as soon as it is announced, we'll be able to start. That'll be from mid-October on. Maybe a little bit later than that, but we'll be all set.
But the head of the director of U.S. top health body, Robert Redfield, has contradicted President Trump's claims on the timing for a vaccine. In a congressional testimony to the Appropriations Committee, Redfield had said that the vaccine will be available to the general public, but not before 2021.
If you're asking me when is it going to be generally available to the American public so we can begin to take advantage of vaccine to get back to our regular life, I think we're probably looking at late second quarter, third quarter, 2021.
And almost immediately, the Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden took the opportunity to attack his rival Donald Trump. The former vice president has assailed Trump for playing politics with a potential coronavirus vaccine and said that he doesn't trust the president.
So let me be clear. I trust vaccines, I trust scientists, but I don't trust Donald Trump. And at this moment, the American people can't either. I'll level with the American people. I'll take responsibility, and I'll support, rather than tear down the experts responsible for the day-to-day execution of the plan. I'll simply follow the science.
Our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York.
Developing and distributing a coronavirus vaccine has taken center stage in the 2020 U.S. presidential elections. U.S. President Donald Trump has signaled that a vaccine may be approved before November 3rd. However, his Democratic contender, Joe Biden, and his running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, have raised doubt on whether the president will meddle in the scientific findings and process, despite the fact that public officials have noted time and again they won't be swayed by politics. Joe Biden has made clear that he supports a vaccine. In fact, he's put together a team of veteran health experts and former administration officials to come up with a plan should a vaccine be approved next year, and he occupies the White House. Republicans, for their part, blame the Democrats for instilling fear and panic among their supporters by undermining faith in a vaccine that may be approved during the Trump administration. Health experts say a vaccine will be approved more likely sooner than later. However, the real challenge will be mass distribution among the hundreds and millions of Americans. Susan Tehrani from New York for WION. World is One.
Nick Harper joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Good evening to you, Nick. Thanks for being with us. Now, the deaths from coronavirus nearing 200,000 in the U.S. Of course, there are questions over the arrival of a vaccine, and now specifically ahead of the November elections. What we're hearing from Donald Trump is contradicting the CDC director.
Yeah, that's right. Once again, we're seeing Donald Trump very much in opposition to the medical experts, to the scientists, undermining them and saying something which is completely contrary to what they're saying. Donald Trump saying that we could see a vaccine within weeks, essentially a month away in the middle of October, ahead of November the 3rd's election. He would love to get a vaccine out for the American people before that election. It would give him the October surprise that he wants, a real boost for those voters going to the polls trying to make up their minds if they can see a president who's managed to deliver a vaccine. But we have the scientists, the head of the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Robert Redfield, saying something very different. He's saying that, yes, there will be some limited vaccines, he hopes, by the end of this year, maybe November or December, but those will be very limited and being given to people like doctors and nurses on the front line. The rest of the US population won't get their hands on a vaccine, Dr. Robert Redfield says, until spring or summer next year, and it could take about 6 months to distribute those vaccines and make sure that the whole US population, about 320 million people, have those vaccines. So we're hearing very different things, and that, of course, is why the Democratic challenger, Joe Biden, is saying that the president is politicizing this issue of vaccines, making it central to his campaign, making promises, Biden says, that he won't be able to deliver on. Because there is that concern that with the scientists saying that we won't have a vaccine for months, Donald Trump's promise of having a vaccine in weeks seems somewhat unlikely.
Right. Nick, the coronavirus is, of course, one of the major campaigning topics for this election, and Trump is trailing in the opinion polls at the moment. Do you think that these kind of promises are going to further hurt his ratings? As you mentioned, we did see Joe Biden jumping on that, saying that he doesn't trust the president.
Well, they certainly could do, because part of the campaign slogan that Donald Trump is running on in this 2020 election is promises made, promises kept, pointing out that a lot of the things that he said in the run-up to the 2016 election he's been able to deliver. Here he is promising the vaccine. Obviously, he'll have to deliver in the next 4 or 5 weeks before the beginning of November. But even if he manages that, I think there's a real issue of trust. There was a recent survey within the last few days about trust in the American public, and 62% of them said that they were worried that the president was pushing through a vaccine that perhaps would not be properly tried and tested, and they therefore said that they wouldn't take it. So even if we had a vaccine coming out before the election, a lot of those voters will look at that with some scepticism and potentially not want to get vaccinated. It is a very big political football at this time, because the referendum or the election in November will certainly be a referendum about Donald Trump's handling of this pandemic. And as we heard from those clips just a few moments ago, he's certainly changed his tune throughout, initially dismissing the pandemic as something that would go away naturally, being no more than the flu. So he's trying to do some sort of damage limitation now to say that he is serious, and with that, hoping that he can deliver that vaccine within just a few weeks' time before people go to the polls at the beginning of November.
Right. Nick, thank you very much for that report there.